All right, so Ant, what's your reaction to Senga being sent down?
Sal, I'm not that crazy about it, to be quite honest. I think that they should have tried a different route here. I think they could have maybe worked his problems out in the bullpen. I'm not talking about high leverage situations, but he is a guy that some teams thought when he was a free agent, when he was coming here, Sal, they thought he was a relief pitcher. Anyway, this might be a good time for the Mets to have found out whether that was the case with him or not. I just don't know what sending him to the minors to work with coaches that he doesn't regularly work with are going to solve all of his mechanical issues here. And look, this is a guy who was pitching great before he got hurt. Then he got healthy and he came back and he was awful. So something's not connecting here for me. And I'm not sure that Syracuse is the spot where he will find everything connecting better. I don't know. I know there's a thought. I mean, I've seen you saying this. He basically, Senga is not pitching well. He needs to go down. And I think that there's more attached to it than this. This is a guy who's going to be around. He signed for a couple more years here. There was a clause in his contract. He'd have to approve being demoted. So you obviously know that we're talking about a 32-year-old former five-time Japan Series winner in his previous baseball life. And now he's got to go to the minors to sort of get right. I don't know. Maybe they could have fixed him working with the big league staff and pitching him when it was 10-0 or something like that.
The pedigree you just mentioned, though, is why I think this is an awesome move. This is showing the rest of the clubhouse, the rest of the team, hey, nobody's immune from this. You don't produce, this could be you. And I think the Mets have shown themselves to be an accountability regime. I look back to Francisco Alvarez getting sent down earlier in the year and the worlds it did for him when he came back before he got hurt. And I think they've already answered that question, Anthony, of is he a reliever moving forward? The Mets clearly view him as a starter and is the one way to salvage that. You send him down, try to get him some positive momentum going. If he's going to be a starter for the New York Mets moving forward, a bullpen move wouldn't have worked. I don't think DFAing him would have worked. You keep him in the organization, you send him down, and you also show everybody else, hey, look, you don't produce, this could be you next.
You're putting him on notice. I clearly like that. I think he gets the opportunity to figure some things out over the next few weeks. But if we're talking about the Mets and the postseason, and the idea of Kodai Senga now over the next 2 to 3 weeks, to your point, Anthony, finding it in games that mean nothing in Syracuse, and now all of a sudden I'm a Met fan, and I'm going to be comfortable with the idea of someone that we just sent down to Syracuse in the second week of September, and now all of a sudden, Sal, I'm going to have this guy pitching in a best-of-3 series for me? No way, no how. You want to tell me this is about getting Kodai Senga right for next season? Sure, I'm totally on board with that. But this move signals to me that when we see a best-of-3 rotation for the New York Mets, how is Kodai Senga a part of it? With all these young arms, with Manaea still being there, with Peterson and the pedigree he had last year in October, you're going to feel comfortable saying, okay, I'm sending him to Syracuse. He's pitching for me in a couple of weeks? No way.
But I do think this move was about trying to get him right, whereas the one thing you said, I wanted to send him down to the minors. I don't want to send him down to the minors. I just wanted him out of here. I don't want to see him pitch. I don't care where he goes. You want to put him in the bullpen. To me, that's too close to the mound in games that matter, and I don't trust Kodai Senga coming out of the bullpen. So I would believe that the Mets and Senga talked about this for a while, which they did, figured that this is the best path to try to salvage whatever they can from him. But I'm with JJ in that I wouldn't trust him regardless of if they fix him or not. The point is, though, he might still be one of their best 13, 14 pitchers, whatever, to be considered for a postseason spot to potentially help them there. But I think this is the only way. He could not continue going out there every 5 days.
Yeah, I mean...
Or 6 days, whatever it is.
Right. I don't suggest him as a starter here. But look, if you... The Mets are going to have to... When we think about the postseason, the Mets aren't... There isn't, like, perfect rotation lineup here for them, obviously. Right. There are so many starters.
No, they're going to have to piecemeal it.
They are going to have to piggyback, and they're going to have... So if a guy comes in and pitches 3 2/3 innings, if that's a Jonah Tong in Game 3 or whatever...
That's okay.
Right, exactly. You're happy about that, but then you need guys to piggyback off that, too. Who's to say Senga couldn't have been one of those guys to piggyback them, get him used to pitching out of that situation now? They're going to have to do that kind of thing, Sal, with their other pitchers now as we get to the point where you're having to mix and match during games where you're not going 6 innings, set up Diaz. It doesn't work that way in the postseason most of the time.
He still might have to. We don't know. We could say that we don't trust him. He still might be one of their best options. Crossing your fingers saying, hey, you know what? We're going to have him either start a game, open a game, piggyback, whatever. They did it last year. He didn't pitch all year long, and he's pitching in big spots. spots in the postseason, it might be similar
They
again.
started him in crazier situations.
Yeah.
And
You're
they're
right.
putting
And it didn't go well.
Right,
by the way.
exactly.
Right. It
That's
didn't go
exactly
well.
right.
Hey, and Senga could be in the playoff picture because they're putting rookies in the playoff picture. So why not Senga, who's been in the big leagues and now back in Triple-A?